Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. As a result, although he tried to look for his parents, the four-sect alliance was too large. Almost all of the mortals had been moved to clear snow and were spread across the country. Unless he had an extremely high cultivation level, there was no way for him to find his parents. Daenyo had forgotten how long this snow had been falling for. Every day, he would wake up to find someone near him frozen to death. At the same time, he also noticed the mysterious power of the small carving around his neck. Every time he felt cold, a warmth would come from the carving and spread across his body. No matter how cold it became, he could safely live through it. After realizing the power of the carving, Daenyo suddenly felt like he didn't know Wang Lin as well anymore, as if he had never seen through that old man. But because of the existence of the wood carvings, he felt more relaxed about his wife. As long as his wife didn't remove the wood carving, she also wouldn't be frozen to death. However, as time passed, he looked at the endless snow and his heart began to despair again. The snow in the sky lessened, but still continued to fall endlessly. During these days, a lot of mortals secretly escaped. They wanted to escape to the nearby countries. Even if they had to give up everything, at least they still had some hope. It was said that the adjacent countries didn't have any clouds. It was like normal spring in those countries, everything was normal and the sun was shining. In the morning, Daenyo was the first one to wake up. He got up from his bed. Behind him slept the second son of a shopkeeper from the same street as him. This young man was a hard worker who often worked together with Daenyo. He was a simple child. Daenyo gave him a push, but he suddenly froze. He placed his hand over the boy's nose and bitterly smiled. "He is dead," he whispered. At this point, someone else got up and stared at Daenyo. Then he immediately noticed that throughout the night, 5 people had frozen to death in this room. Everyone began to ponder. After a long time, a shout came from outside the house, "Everyone, come out, now. If anyone goofs off, they will be thrown into the snow to freeze to death." Someone let out a sigh and everyone slowly walked out. Their eyes were all out of focus and their faces were yellow. These last few months of clearing snow had really taken a toll on them. At the beginning, there was enough food, but now there was less and less. It was at the point where they couldn't keep the labor up anymore. Daenyo was still crying on the ground. A middle-aged man, who was very friendly with him, pulled him up and said, "Daenyo, let's go. As long as we are alive, there is still hope." Daenyo was pulled up by him. He looked at the boy who lied there unmoving and tears flowed out again. After he left the room, the cold wind hit him, causing him to shiver, but warmth soon came from the little carving around his neck. He rubbed his chest and looked at the people walking out from the door. He clenched his teeth and made a decision. He was going to find his wife and leave this country. Once this snow is over, he will come back. Late at night, when everyone had fallen asleep, he secretly left the house. The cold wind caused him to shiver, but he still went out into the snow. There were human troops surrounding the area, but they couldn't just ignore people escaping. In this area, at least they could live. If they were to leave, then they would likely die. They stopped people at first, but after a while, they gave up. After all, if someone wants to die, you can't really stop them. After a long time, Daenyo suddenly felt his body warm up as a warm hand patted his head. "Daenyo, don't be afraid." Daenyo turned his head and looked at the youth that appeared behind him. This youth looked much younger than him, but the youth's eyes emanated an ancient light. Daenyo was no stranger to this person. In fact, it was the Uncle Wang he longed for. But this person's current appearance was completely different from the old man he knew. Daenyo looked at Wang Lin and suddenly remembered the first time he opened Wang Lin's shop's door and saw his face. The Wang Lin from then looked exactly like the one now. "Uncle Wang," Daenyo whispered. He pondered for a while. He felt like the uncle that watched him grow up was not a normal person. He pondered for a while, then asked, You are an immortal." Wang Lin looked at the surroundings. Finally, he looked at Daenyo, nodded, and smiled. "It's okay. Uncle Wang is here, so there is no need to be afraid. Let us go find your wife." Daenyo felt like he was in a dream. In his mind, the image he associated Wang Lin with rapidly changed between an old man and a young man. His expression was unsettled. Even a hint of panic was visible. After a while, Daniel opened his eyes. He felt like he had just seen a dream of his Uncle Wang. The image of his Uncle Wang for some reason changed to be the same as the Uncle Wang he knew when he was a boy. He let out a sigh, then suddenly looked at the woman next to him and let out a scream. He quickly moved up and shook her. The woman woke up and also stared at Daniel. After a while, the two of them hugged each other and began to cry. Daniel's wife asked after crying for a while, "Daniel, why am I here? I remember that when I fell asleep, I was still inside the house." Daniel pondered for a while and looked into the sky. After a long time, he let out a sigh. He knew that what happened wasn't a dream. It was reality. He didn't say anything, he just hugged his wife before turning his eyes toward the tunnel and the package on the ground. After opening the package, he found a lot of gold. He and his wife both kowtowed toward the capital as he whispered, "Uncle Wang, thank you." He picked up the package and dragged his wife through the tunnel. Shortly after Daniel left the Four-Sect Alliance, Wang Lin appeared at the spot where they kowtowed. As he looked at the disappearing figures of Daniel and his wife, his eyes watered up. With his divine sense, he already noticed that there was a small town not far from here. They only needed to follow the official road to get there. Daniel spent the rest of his life there. Even until the moment he died, he couldn't forget Uncle Wang, who watched him grow up. Only, he never had a chance to see Wang Lin again. Wang Lin stood in place for a long time, as he watched Daniel and his wife leave. More than 30 years ago, Daniel was only a kid, but in the blink of an eye, he was already middle-aged. Just like the life and death domain, it was hard for things in this world to escape life and death. Wang Lin let out a smile as he pointed at the light screen again. With a flash, the tunnel in the light screen closed. Wang Lin raised his head and looked around. He wasn't in a rush to leave the Four-Sect Alliance, because he still had one more goal he hadn't achieved yet. That was to obtain the Rain Cauldron. This Rain Cauldron was a disaster for the Four-Sect Alliance, but also a treasure, because it was something soul formation cultivators needed to be able to reach the soul transformation stage. To Wang Lin, this Rain Cauldron was something he needed for his future. Wang Lin could feel that the spiritual energy around him wasn't as clean as before. It was as if the spiritual energy was filled with dirt. It was not that there was any change to the spiritual energy in recent years, but because Wang Lin's cultivation level had increased, he could detect this problem. This spiritual energy is harmless to cultivators under the soul formation stage, because they aren't able to notice the impurities it contains. But after one reaches the soul formation stage and wishes to proceed further, this spiritual energy is deadly. As for the spirit water from the heaven-defying bead, maybe it's because the 5 elements aren't complete, but its purity is still a bit lacking. However, the 5 elements are simply too hard to obtain. Aside from the water element, he would need a desolate beast like the one he got for the fire element to fill even one of them up. The other few missing elements also required the soul of their matching desolate beast, which was why Wang Lin hadn't managed to fill them in the past 400 years. Wang Lin had to enter the celestial door to get celestial chi, so he set his sights on the Rain Cauldron. Right now was obviously not the right time to try to take the Rain Cauldron. The correct time was when Shui Yu's invasion commences. Thinking of this, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with calmness as he found a large snow mountain and sank into it. As his body sank into the snow, he took out his restriction flag and surrounded himself. Wang Lin soon disappeared inside the mountain of snow. Shortly after, countless cultivators wearing white robes walked out of the rift. There was one thing in common between all of them, the coldness on their faces. That coldness spread to every corner of the Four-Sect Alliance. A wave of killing intent covered the Four-Sect Alliance. At the same time, none of the countless cultivators from the Four-Sect Alliance appeared, allowing all of the cultivators of Shui Yu to walk out one by one. Slowly, more and more Shui Yu cultivators appeared. None of them uttered a word. Their gazes were all on the white-clothed girl. Even the ones far away have their gazes set on the girl. The girl's eyes were cold as she pointed at the ground. This simple action caused all of the cultivators from Shui Yu to descend from the sky as a beam of white light. Once a few moved, it caused a chain reaction. All of the Shui Yu cultivators descended. But as they descended from the sky, 4 rays of light shot into the sky from the west, south, east, and north. Cyan, red, purple, and white pillars of light that looked like they could hold up the sky appeared. At the top of the pillars, giant figures slowly condensed. When the figures finally formed, they revealed themselves to be ancient barbarians wearing leather armor. If one looked closely at the giant barbarians, they would see a cultivator inside the chest of each one. Although it was not possible to see what cultivation level they were at, it couldn't be low. The giant ancient barbarians walked out from the pillars one by one and charged toward the cultivators of Xueyu. This old man's face was yellow and very skinny. His body was filled with an aura of death, and there was almost no clothes covering him besides a few scraps of fabric. His hair was scattered all over as he looked at the Xueyu cultivators in the sky with his dim eyes and licked his lips. His tongue was very long. When it came out, it made him look like a demon. This sight would shock anyone. Shortly after, a roar came from the water ink sect from the south. A giant, bronze cauldron slowly floated into the sky from the back mountain of the water ink sect. There were countless spells carved on the top of this bronze cauldron. A primitive aura spread out from it as well. An old man wearing a red gown sat on top of the bronze cauldron and calmly looked at the sky. The Greenwood sect to the east also didn't dare to break the trend. As the roars came from the east and south, a giant pool of black sludge rose into the air from the Greenwood sect. The sludge was bubbling, and every now and then, a face full of suffering would appear on the surface. The moment this black sludge appeared, even the snow around it seemed to tremble. The next moment, a weak-looking young man from the Black Soul sect appeared in the north accompanied by neat and orderly shouts of young men. The young man looked very pale, as if he had just survived a serious illness. As his body floated in the air, he waved his right hand to call something forth. Suddenly, a large amount of black gas floated out from the Black Soul sect. The black gas wove together to form a black ink brush. The moment the brush appeared, the sky changed colors. Even the old man on the cauldron and the old man chained to the black rock noticed and were shocked. This very ordinary-looking ink brush slowly floated into the young man's hand. The moment the brush landed in his hand, a healthy, red color appeared on his face. How could the four-sect alliance not have made any preparations in the past few years? In truth, they had all been waiting. In this country-destroying disaster, they were taking out the final resorts of their sects and retaliating. The girl wearing white floated in the air. Her gaze was cold as she whispered, "Erase them. This will be the new country for us Xueyu cultivators." The moment those words came out, all of the Xueyu cultivators let out a unified roar. The roar grew as people joined in, and at the peak, the girl formed a seal and a five-colored light appeared. The moment the five-colored light appeared, it formed five girls that looked exactly like her, but those weren't her avatars. At this moment, Wang Lin was hiding under a mountain of snow inside the four-sect alliance. His divine sense had already covered the area. When he noticed the five girls appearing, the heaven-defying bead in his divine sense suddenly trembled. At this moment, there were many divine senses in the sky, so no one paid attention to his. Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes under the mountain of snow. A strange light emanated from his eyes. He muttered to himself, "Spirits of the five elements." Back then, after the heaven-defying bead devoured only one fire spirit, the fire element was fully charged. At this moment, when Wang Lin saw the five element spirits, his heart moved. But he quickly threw away the idea, as he didn't know if she was the genius of Xueyu that Zhu Wutai talked about or not. But even if she wasn't, she was still at the mid-stage of soul formation. She was far from someone he could deal with right now. The moment the five elemental spirits appeared, the old man chained to the black rock let out a creepy laugh. He suddenly flew into the air, dragging the black rock with him. The water spirit suddenly turned. Without causing any fluctuations of spiritual energy, it turned into a pool of clear water and moved toward the old man. At the same time, three more elemental spirits chose one of the four sects and flew over to them. Only the fire spirit turned into a large blue flame and flew toward the giant barbarians. Shortly after, each of the Xueyu cultivators picked one of the four sects and started fighting. Waves of cold came from the snow and ice on the ground. When the cultivators of the four-sect alliance touched the snow, they would feel cold, but to the Xueyu cultivators, it was the best weapon. This cold energy would even help the Xueyu cultivators recover spiritual energy to some degree. The entire sky of the four-sect alliance was covered in flashes of magical treasures. The locations of the Water Ink sect, White Cloud sect, Greenwood sect, and Dark Soul sect were the locations of the final battles. Some of the mortals who were lucky enough to survive hid in their houses. They had no idea what was going on and had never seen so many cultivators in their life. The surrounding countries all sent out powerful cultivators, and surrounded the four-sect alliance. They had no intention to join the battle, they just wanted to make sure no cultivator could leave the four-sect alliance, whether it was the cultivators of the four-sect alliance, or Xueyu. They would only leave once there was a winner. The giant barbarians ran around the battlefield and swung their giant arms. Every time they swung, they would hit several Xueyu cultivators. There was a total of 99 giant barbarians. They fought with the Xueyu cultivators within the area of the four sects. Although each of the giant barbarians were very powerful and even contained hints of their own domains, they were very afraid of the fire created by the fire spirit. One of the giants had just blown 2 Xueyu cultivators into dust, but was immediately surrounded by the fire. Its entire body immediately released white smoke, and in a matter of a few breaths, the giant was gone. Even the cultivator inside couldn't escape from being burnt to ashes. But the strange thing was that although the fire was very hot, it had no effect on the snow on the ground. After the giant formation in the sky was broken, an even stronger snowstorm came out of the rifts. The snow became even thicker. The white-clothed woman wasn't the only one who had brought a powerful magic treasure. Other Xueyu cultivators, who had prepared powerful magic treasures, also appeared. At the battle against the White Cloud sect, a white-haired old woman waved her sleeves and chanted some complicated spell. Suddenly, a powerful wind came from a rift and all of the snow within 100 square feet floated into the air. Then, some of the surrounding Xueyu cultivators did the same thing and many ice giants appeared on the battlefield. Some of the low-level 4 sects alliance cultivators finally realized why Xueyu needed to pour so much snow on the countries they were fighting. A large amount of the Xueyu cultivators' techniques and spells required snow. The same scene happened in the other 3 sects. These large ice giants controlled by cultivators, nascent souls fought with the cultivators of the 4-sect alliance. Suddenly, the battle became a mess. Only the white-clothed woman stood still in the air as she looked at the battles with a cold gaze. It was the metal elemental spirit that was fighting against the old man on top of the bronze cauldron. The old man placed his hand on top of the cauldron and symbols that moved as if they were alive appeared in the sky. The symbols moved under the control of the old man and began fighting with the metal elemental spirit. The wood elemental spirit fought with the giant pool of sludge from the green wood sect. Countless black snakes extended from the sludge. Any Xueyu cultivator that was touched by the black snake died. Even the wood elemental spirit was having a hard time. The most strange person had to be the young man from the Black Soul sect. The earth elemental spirit was fighting him and having a really tough time. The young was completely motionless, only his hand would move along with the ink brush. But with every stroke, the earth elemental spirit would escape with a look of dread in its eyes. Finally, the young man closed his eyes. If one looked closely, they would see that the young man wasn't moving. The brush was moving on its own. At this point, it was only the start of the battle, so most of the soul formation cultivators from either side hadn't moved yet. The soul formation cultivators of the 4-sect alliance were all waiting. If this was all that Xueyu had, then the chances of the 4-sect alliance being wiped out were not large. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin's body sank down without a sound. He wanted to see what was the mystery behind this. He couldn't activate his full power inside the snow, so it took him 2 hours to reach the ground. Once he got there, he didn't hesitate at all and went deeper with his earth escape technique. At about 4,000 feet underground, Wang Lin stopped. His face was covered with an unsettled expression and a sliver surprise. He noticed that 5,000 feet underground, someone managed to dig out a cave. The cave seemed to be endless in size. Wang Lin guessed that this cave spanned throughout the entire 4-sect alliance. Every 1,000 feet inside the cave there was an ice sculpture. Each ice sculpture was about 10 feet tall and released a strange light. One other notable thing was that all of the ice sculptures were exactly the same. Their faces had ferocious expressions, and they had human hands as well as snake bodies. Wang Lin roughly checked and found that there was a large amount of ice sculptures, and that their positions seemed to hold some meaning. All of the bodies that disappeared during the battle would appear here, but the moment they appeared, they would be absorbed by a nearby ice sculpture. Wang Lin pondered a little. He originally didn't believe that the 4-sect alliance wouldn't notice this earlier, but he wasn't able to detect this cave at all either. It has to be said that Wang Lin's divine sense was at the level of late-stage soul formation cultivators, so if even he was unable to see through it, then it was very unlikely for anyone in a rank 4 cultivation country to see through it. The water pillar only blocked the fire for a moment before turning into white mist. The flame circled around the area once before flying toward the white cloud sect. Wang Lin was reluctant to make himself known right now, so he didn't extinguish the flame and merely ran away. Before all of the soul formation cultivators from both sides moved, Wang Lin wouldn't act. The white-clothed young woman closed her eyes and used a special method to sense the battles that were going on at the four sects. As she let out a cold smile, her right hand formed a seal and a white light shot out from her hand into a rift in the sky. With a thunderous roar, all of the rifts within 10,000 meters of the white-clothed woman fused together into one giant hole in the sky. Ice towers descended from the hole one by one. The cultivators of Xueyu were very different from cultivators from other cultivation countries. Much like the giant demon clan, they didn't have multiple sects. Everyone belonged to one sect. In Xueyu, once a cultivator has reached the nascent soul stage, they can form an ice giant with their nascent soul to do battle with. This is a symbol of their status. Similarly, once they reach the soul formation stage, they make their own ice tower. This becomes their own personal cultivation ground. The ice towers descending meant that soul formation cultivators had appeared. Every single ice tower had different shapes, but someone knowledgeable about Xueyu would know to look at how many floors a tower had to determine the cultivation level of the cultivator inside. The more floors the ice tower has, the higher the cultivation level of the cultivator inside. This is a pretty simple way to see the cultivation level of Xueyu cultivators. There were a total of 36 ice towers that descended. 4 of the ice towers were clearly taller than the rest, each with 99 floors. This means that the owners of these ice towers have reached the late stage of soul formation. The moment the 36 ice towers appeared, all of the soul formation cultivators from the four-sect alliance took deep breaths, walked into a formation, and disappeared. A rainbow-colored light lit up under the white-clothed woman. From the light, a door appeared without a sound. The soul formation cultivators of the four-sect alliance walked out of it. The middle-aged man and old woman from the White Cloud sect were among them, but the old man that controlled the passing of time domain was not there. Among them were 4 old cultivators that were very eye-catching. They looked like they had just crawled out of coffins. They were the sect protectors of the 4 sects. In almost an instant, he turned from a wrinkly old man to a very dignified-looking middle-aged man. He looked at the white-clothed woman with a serious look in his eyes and said, "I'm the Black Soul Sect's Ju Yu. Maybe I ask if you're Xueyu's red butterfly?" The red butterfly the old man mentioned was the genius from Xueyu that caught Suzaku's attention. The absolute genius that managed to reach the late stage of soul formation in 100 years. The white-clothed woman's eyes lit up and she said, "So it is fellow cultivator Ju Yu, one of the 8 late-stage soul formation cultivators of the four-sect alliance." Ju Yu's brow furrowed. This woman responded to his question with another question. This was clearly not what he was looking for, and seeing that the woman didn't seem to want to answer his question, his gaze became cold and he waved his sleeve. This wave wasn't only a signal to start the battle, but also a signal to the people of the four-sect alliance to start phase 2 of their plan. Ju Yu couldn't wait anymore. It didn't matter if this woman was red butterfly or not, he had to gamble on it. The soul formation cultivators around him all charged upwards. The white-clothed woman revealed a look of disdain in her eyes. Xueyu's soul formation cultivators walked out from their ice towers and the battle began. With the activation of one powerful technique after another, the entire four-sect alliance shook and the sky changed colors. Every single technique of these soul formation cultivators had the power to move mountains and oceans. As a result, the shockwaves of the technique spread out, hitting everyone in range. It didn't matter if they were cultivators of Xueyu or the four-sect alliance, the lucky ones were heavily injured and the unlucky died instantly. This battle between 2 countries had split into 2 different battlefields. One was between those below the soul formation stage, fighting on the ground, and the other was the soul formation cultivators exchanging techniques in the sky. This was the most fierce battle Wang Lin had ever witnessed. He remained hidden in the mountain of snow as he looked at the powerful soul formation cultivators using techniques that contained their domains. He carefully watched and studied the various domains. The battles of soul formation cultivators normally don't stay in one place, as they can easily move 10,000 meters in an instant. Before long, the soul formation cultivators spread apart and used the entire four-sect alliance for their battle to the death. The disdain in the white-clothed woman's eyes became even stronger as her hand formed a seal and a white light appeared in her hand. However, at that moment, 9 specks of light suddenly appeared around her. The moment the specks of light appeared, they connected to each other and the shadows of 9 figures appeared. The old man who controlled the passing of time domain was among them. At this moment, all of the soul formation cultivators from Xueyu who saw this immediately wanted to go help, but the 4-sector lines cultivators wouldn't let them as this was part of their plan. The woman's face immediately changed. She waved the fan in her hand, causing the feathers to fly out. However, it was too late. This killing formation was something the 4-sector alliance had prepared for the genius of Xueyu. The moment the genius of Xueyu dies, becomes a huge turning point for this battle. If she dies, Xueyu will lose the support of Suzaku. Although they might anger Suzuka, it beats having their country wiped out. The moment the 9 people attacked, many of the cultivators that were maintaining the formation died. It was them who took a share of the attack from the white-clothed woman. The reason that woman dared to float in the air all by herself was because of that fan. However, she was overconfident. After obtaining this treasure from the rank 5 cultivation country, no one, but that junior apprentice sister, who was already above her, could be her opponent. Among the 9 figures, 5 of them were at the soul formation late stage. The other 4 were people who controlled special domains. No one would be able to survive this unless they had reached the soul transformation stage. Under the onslaught of domains, the woman didn't have any power to resist as she was turned into a bloody corpse. The fan with only 2 feathers remaining was caught by a late-stage soul formation cultivator, before the 9 figures turned into 9 specks of light and disappeared. The 9 of them took major hits from the fan. All of their cultivation levels were greatly lowered, and would require a long time to recover. Rage appeared in the eyes of the Xueyu cultivators who saw this, but there was no sadness. This rage caused their battles to become even more intense. Wang Lin saw all of this happening and began to frown even harder. He carefully observed the expressions of the Xueyu cultivators and felt that something was wrong. The entire earth began to shake violently at the center of the 4-sector alliance. This was the Heaven Cloud Mountain range. Although it was covered in snow, the moment it began to shake, the snow started to fall off. Even giant chunks of ice cracked into pieces. Soon, the entire Heaven Cloud Mountain range turned into a 10,000-foot-long black dragon. As the dragon raised its head, all of the snow and ice fell off of it and it stared at the Xueyu cultivators. On the head of the black dragon stood one person. Wang Lin knew this person. It was the large-eared cultivator, Zhu Wutai. The reason Zhu Wutai's status was so high in the 4-sector alliance was because he had the bloodline of the guardian dragon of the 4-sector alliance. Only he could successfully control the black dragon once the formation was active and use it to protect the country. The black dragon let out a roar as it raised its head. This roar spread across the entire 4-sector alliance. When the cultivators of the 4-sector alliance heard this roar, their morale increased. According to the plan, the moment the roar goes out, the final battle has begun. Countless cultivators came out from the 4 sects and joined in the battle against the cultivators of Xueyu. Wang Lin had a frown on his face as he hid inside the snow mountain. If Xueyu only had this much, then the 4-sector alliance would win for sure, but he still felt this strange sense of danger. He pondered for a bit, then his eyes lit up as his divine sense detected the earth spirit, its body releasing black smoke, flying toward this direction from Black Soul Sect. Behind the earth spirit was the young man with the brush, casually chasing behind it. Every time the brush in his hand moved, the earth spirit would tremble and the amount of black smoke around it would increase. When Wang Lin saw this, he didn't know what to do. After a while, he made a decision. He silently left the snow mountain and charged toward the earth spirit using his earth escape technique. He got closer and closer, 8,000 kilometers, 7,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers, 3,000 kilometers. When he was 3,000 kilometers away, Wang Lin's body suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was only 2,000 kilometers away. He immediately hit his forehead and spat out the black seal. The moment the seal appeared, it released a powerful killing intent as many soul fragments appeared around it as well. Wang Lin threw it up into the air until it disappeared from view. At the same time, Wang Lin took a deep breath and rapidly moved his hands. Many restrictions were shot from his hands into the surroundings. He then took out his restriction flag and shook it. The flag covered the area with black fog, but then it quickly disappeared. Just as he finished doing all of this, the earth spirit arrived. The earth spirit was messy right now. When it saw Wang Lin, it didn't pay him any attention. Although it was very weak right now, with its late-stage soul formation cultivation, it could still kill a late-stage nascent soul cultivator at will. In its view, Wang Lin wasn't qualified to make it cautious. The moment it arrived, it waved its hand and a wave of earth power charged at Wang Lin. The moment that power touched him, he felt a sweetness in his throat as he coughed out blood. The nascent soul in his body shook and almost collapsed. The earth spirit frowned, but it didn't pause at all. Then, the blood Wang Lin coughed out turned into a blood mist and disappeared into the air. At the same time, a large amount of black fog appeared. Arms of restriction smoke shot out and surrounded the earth spirit. Shortly after, 8 black restriction rings appeared, forming a cage with the restriction flag to trap the earth spirit. Wang Lin immediately backed up. He knew that with his cultivation level, he couldn't resist the earth spirit at all. But he didn't intend to fight it himself. He only had to hold the earth spirit here until the young man with the brush arrived. The battle would be over then. The earth spirit noticed Wang Lin's intention. It let out a roar and slammed into the restriction ring while completely ignoring the restriction smoke. In truth, the earth spirit wasn't being affected by the restriction smoke. The moment the smoke entered its body, it was like the earth spirit was devouring it. With the first slam, a large amount of black smoke disappeared and a crisp crackling sound came from within. Wang Lin's heart ached. He knew that cracks had appeared on the restriction flag. The earth spirit let out another roar. It didn't break through the first time, so it slammed into the cage again. This time, all of the black smoke was destroyed. Although the restriction flag remained intact, there were even more cracks on it now. The earth spirit's face suddenly became very serious, as its body turned into black mud. It attempted to wrap around the black seal. At that moment, the young man opened his eyes, which revealed a mysterious light. His hand moved again, causing a large amount of the black mud created by the earth spirit to disappear. The black seal's pressure smashed down on the earth spirit, causing it to let out a miserable scream as it turned back into human shape. However, the earth spirit was not half transparent. It was as if it would dissipate if the wind blew on it. The earth spirit revealed a look of despair as the young man raised his hand. He was about to wave the brush again. Wang Lin immediately charged into the restriction flag and pointed at his brow. A powerful suction force appeared and immediately sucked the earth spirit into Wang Lin's brow. Wang Lin didn't have time to check on it once it was absorbed into the heaven-defying bead. He sucked the black seal back and waved his hand to put the restriction flag back into his bag of holding. All of this was done very quickly. Afterwards, he didn't hesitate to shout, "Junior is a disciple of the White Cloud sect. My master is Ching Song." With that, his divine sense entered his bag of holding to control the old man's carving to release a sliver of the passing of time domain before turning around and leaving. The young man stared at Wang Lin with a cold gaze, but his hand didn't move. After a while, he turned around and left. Wang Lin flew for 10,000 kilometers while on guard before stopping. Only when he noticed that the young man wasn't chasing did he finally let out a sigh of relief. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.